somehow you have to figure out what your spouse's love language is. Maybe it's you ask them a couple questions here and there from the quiz. I think there's a good abbreviated online version of the quiz, meaning you can go through that without reading each chapter of the book, although I highly recommend, especially if you're going to pull out chapter 12 and kind of do the secret weapon thing, that you read all the way through the love languages so you can kind of spot. The other way to find out love language, what your spouse's love language is, if they won't participate in this, is to kind of try one language at a time. So whether it's acts of service or physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, which also ends up being kind of quality conversation, or gifts, you kind of do one of those at a time, say for a week, and see where you get the best reaction is going to be. Maybe you do one of them only at a time, so it's kind of like the idea of the control group versus the experiment that you're working on. So you want to eliminate all the love languages except for one, and then speak that to your spouse and kind of see how they respond. Also, if you have any questions or you want to help me try to figure out what their love language is, just hit me up, leave a message, and we can go back and forth, and I can help you figure out what your spouse's love language is. So you figure it out, right? And then once you know it, it's kind of like a weapon. It's like your love bazooka, and you just kind of get that thing out there and you just start firing at them. And the reality is that if you really love a person the way that they want to be loved, and unfortunately it's usually not the way that you feel loved. That's the whole trick with the love languages, is that you speak a different love language than your spouse does. And that's why over the years, if you continue to do that, all that anger and angst and anxiety and kind of bad feelings, and everybody gets hurt because you're trying to show them that you love them, and it absolutely falls on deaf ears. And so years and years and years of this, they think you just flat out don't love them and you just don't care. And so people start entertaining divorce. And the reality is that you're speaking a totally different language. It's as if they're Japanese and you're speaking Russian, right? And it just doesn't work. You physically cannot feel when someone is speaking another love language that isn't yours. Now, years down the road, great marriage, oh my gosh, it's amazing. You can actually use all 5 love languages to kind of communicate. But, I mean, everyone has a primary and a secondary love language. And until you really just nail those down, it's really hard to hear or see or feel any of the other love languages. And so I get that you're trying, and that's good. And you want, as long as you've got a little fight left in you yet. So you're going to read chapter 12. You're going to figure out what their love language is, and then you're going to speak their love language for 6 months without ever having any hope of hearing yours ever again. You do that. That's kind of the secret formula. I think it's going to be amazing. And then you can tune in and you can take part of this class, and you can take and get the benefit of all the other things that we have going on in the class without having to have your spouse there.